To all the women showing up even when it feels heavy. To the women chasing big dreams while juggling ever bigger responsibilities. To the women rebuilding, rediscovering, and redefining themselves. To the women breaking barriers quietly, loudly, and in ways no one else sees. This is your reminder you are doing an incredible job.
You might not feel like you're there yet. You might feel like you're figuring it out. You might be carrying more than anyone else realizes, but your resilience, your courage, your voice, and your present matter more than you know. Today and every day, we celebrate you, not just for what you achieve, but for who you are and the path you're carving for those who will follow.
Welcome to the Women's Series, where this International Women's Week, we're here to balance the scales and share some real stories and give every woman listening the opportunity to step forward with confidence that you're not alone and you're backed by a community committed to change. I'm Annalise from Happiness Co, and in this episode, we're joined by Kristy Ward from Prestige Strata Management. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're a business leader navigating both executive responsibilities and motherhood, two roles that demand a lot of pressure, resilience, presence, and balance. And in honour of International Women's Day, this year's theme of balancing the scales, we're going to explore what it really looks like to lead in business while also raising a family and how we better support women who are doing both. Did I get that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, perfect. Amazing. So firstly, Kristy, I would love to ask you, what does International Women's Day mean to you, and especially this year's theme of balancing the scales?
So I'm not, big on women having one day or 1 week. I think, ideally, and obviously that's what we're pushing for, is that equality works every day. So for me, it's not necessarily celebrating 1 week, but the purpose of it is to really highlight, women have so many different challenges, more so than a lot of the challenges men don't get, because biologically, obviously, we're so different. So I think balancing the scales really means working out what women need and how we need to focus and structure and present ourselves during the day, which offers more challenges than what obviously men get challenged with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And I definitely resonate with that as well. I think we try to do it all, even if it's loud or in the quiet, when no one really realises how much hard work we do put into everyday life while raising a family and also working full time as well. I can imagine it's super duper difficult, but you go at it with grace. So when you reflect on your career journey, what were some defining moments that really shaped you as a woman in business?
It's hard. I've always been quite a strong personality and I love what I do. So moving into owning my own business was more around the fact that I saw flaws in perhaps how other companies ran or, without seeming sexist, there were so many male leaders and I wanted to be able to run something very boutique, specific, communication and technology orientated. So for me, it was the next progression. I've been backed by wonderful men in my life. So I've got 3 extraordinary older brothers who are my biggest cheerleaders throughout my entire life, regardless what I was doing. Mm-hmm. So in business, even when I was starting out from, the get-go, that's always been my strength, is having really good support. So yeah, it was a natural progression for me. It's not really any career-defining moments that, made me succeed. I suppose one of the biggest things that I've done, rightly or wrongly, is I've always wanted to be better. And every day having a challenge, especially in this industry where there are so many challenges and every day is so different, that builds me better every time I come across it. Mm-hmm. I listened to a speaker the other day, and he basically said, go towards the pain. And that's so right, is because that's how you grow. So that's what strengthens me.
Yeah, I like that. And we were also talking about the other day about leaning into the discomfort, because you can't go through life being comfortable. You don't grow, and I think it's so important to have that growth mindset, like you said, and also that support system, especially if they were your brothers as well. I know brother and sister dynamic, even though I have a sister, but still it's so special that you got to go through life with them as well, and they were supporting you.
Oh, so lucky. And I know like a lot of families are disjointed, or they have different personalities, and they're my best friends. And I'm so lucky to have that. Obviously, there's different age gaps and they have different paths in life. But I could, in terms of the support system and how much they encourage me, and being men, having different perspectives really helps. It's a really extraordinary support system. So.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. And another question is, you're an incredible woman. You're here today speaking on the podcast. But I would love to know if you have any women that inspire you, even today or in the past, that you've looked up to, that have shaped you where you are today.
So many extraordinary women. My mum, who's beyond empathetic and kind and beautiful, obviously gives me a different spin on life. Two very different personalities. I'm very black and white down the line, but it's really nice to have that nurturing side of her. When I started in business, I had a beautiful mentor who is strong and resilient and an extraordinary life and so many experiences. And it was actually her who told me to go out on my own, instead of having business partners, to do the struggle and start from fresh and basically do it exactly how I wanted to do it. So, that was really hard, but she was there pushing me along, supporting me, helping me with business, helping me with growth. I still speak to her to this day. She's not in business anymore, but it's extraordinary that one person can change so much for you.
Absolutely.
Being in a male-dominated industry, there's not a lot of women who own their own businesses. There's more and more now. But I've got this beautiful group of colleagues, and albeit we're competitors, they're all very supportive. So I can ring them at any time and ask them a question, or I'm having a difficult client and I need some navigation around the best way to deal with it. Or unfortunately, we have men that sometimes can't understand or respond well to a female director, and it's being able to navigate that in a sense of still maintaining a really professional stance, but also kind of telling them to suck it up and this is how it rolls.
Yeah.
So, I've got that system of like-minded people. It's really hard when you're in business, and, I love my friends and I love my fiance, but they don't get that next level of actually running a business and having the responsibilities of staff and finances and clients. So having women in business who run their own companies and run families, it really helps.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And it sounds so special that you get to go along this journey with the women by your side, and you're always learning every single day and you can lean on them, which sounds very nice, and you've built a great business structure. Another question is, you're now a mother as well. How many kids do you have?
One.
And how old? One.
So he's 11 months.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, so special. So since becoming a mother, how did that change the way you show up every day at work, or as a leader, as a woman? How did motherhood change that, and do you have any advice for fresh mothers out there?
Do it. Definitely don't wait. I am a very late mum, and as the doctors continuously reminded me, they called me a geriatric pregnancy, which hurts. But I suppose that having Atticus, who I love and adore, and it's only 11 months in, so it's very fresh, getting to having him was actually more difficult than now balancing and navigating work-life balance. And when I referred to before about showing up, the hardest thing for me in business and for any woman is the struggle that you have to get pregnant. And so I had lots of losses, and that's really difficult when you have to show up. So as a business owner, and I'm not saying it's any different from someone who's working for someone, but it was difficult for me because you can't just ring a client and say, look, I can't do this meeting that we planned 3 months out because I've just had a miscarriage, or, because I'm on hormone treatments and I feel like, crap, or, there's all those things that impact, but you still have to put makeup on, you still have to put your suit on, and you get up and you get out and you do it. And I think all of that doesn't come into play. You can't turn around to a client and tell them that. You can't turn around to a staff member that works for you, as much as you want them to understand and know that you're going to understand their situations. It's a really hard position to be in. And so before having Atticus, leading into all of that and going through everything and trying to become a mum, that was more hard in terms of business and life balance than actually being able to have this beautiful life with my new family.
Yeah, well, that sounds very difficult, but sounds like you put your best foot forward every single day. And I guess that's another pressure that women always face, is you have to do it all and wear all these hats, and no one really knows everything that's happening behind closed doors, and it's hard to go to people and be open and vulnerable about these challenges that you go through. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm sure if there's even one listener out there that is also going through that same challenge or difficulty with motherhood, and also the journey to becoming a mother as well, I think there's a lot to learn from that as well. And yeah, like, you've overcome it and you're here and you're super successful and a super amazing mother as well, that you can overcome these challenges.
Yeah.
And that's like another question I had was, do you think women still expect to do it all, and where do you see that pressure showing up most?
So we're definitely expected to do it all. I think it's inbuilt in us to be able to do it all. We have, the ability to multitask so well and be organised and functional. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't be able to balance the scales. Men have a lot of stresses as well, and they have a lot of demands on them, and they have to show up. I suppose for women, however, we show up even when we're biologically struggling. So we're mentally struggling. There's challenges that we go through, when we're teenagers, when we're growing into adult women, when we're women either going through pregnancy or being pregnant, that was difficult in its own self. You're carrying around this human inside of you. And then obviously you go into the fun stages of menopause. So there's so many different factors that women go through. And you still have to show up. And whether it's because I have to get up in the morning, to feed your son, get him off to daycare, send him to your grandma's, that type of thing, you've still got to get up and do it. And then you have to go to work. And you stay face. So, yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I think it's inbuilt with us, but we need that village. So many times you've heard throughout life that it takes a village. It absolutely takes a village. And it doesn't matter if you don't have family, you build your village. And that's the best thing that you get to have and hold on to.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, build your own village, and people come and go, but they're all connected and responsible for you in a certain period of your life as well. And yeah, I think you don't have to go through these things alone, and there's people and there's help out there, that's for sure. So in terms of women are wired to do it all as well, how do you personally switch off, or how do you have that balance in your life?
So I can't 100% tell you how I have it yet. So I'm very lucky, and obviously with the theme of balancing the scales, my relationship is very balanced. So my beautiful fiancé, who is also very supportive of me and my business and my strength, took 12 months paternity leave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
really?
So he gets to have that really beautiful bonding time, while I still get to do it all and get to show up and have both.
Yeah.
That's going to change. Obviously, he's going to go back to work, and it's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, we're very lucky to have been able to have that.
Absolutely, yeah, that definitely, I love how that is a shift now, and it gives fathers the option to actually take that while also supporting your your partner to continue to work, and that's amazing. So how have you balanced that, being a mother, but also having to work?
Yeah.
That disconnect, I feel. Or do you bring your son to work sometimes?
Yeah, no, he definitely comes to work sometimes.
Okay,
It's honestly, I keep comparing it with the men in my life and what they went through when they have to leave their wife and kid at home, you know.
True.
So I'm seeing it from a different perspective of, you know, this morning he didn't want cuddles, he just wanted to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted cuddles before I, you know, went into the office. But that's a sacrifice you make to be able to build this life. And it's not that I'm not going to get cuddles tonight. Dad gets all the cuddles. Or he gravitates towards dad when he's sick or moody. And that's just something that we sacrifice as the working parent. So I suppose I put my shoes in, you know, as the norm, it's the man that goes to work and, you know, they do all that. So I suppose I'm just experiencing that. Mm-hmm. The only benefit is I know that's going to shift and all of a sudden it's going to be mum again. And then we're going to have that balance between us. So I love that my fiancé is getting this amazing time with him, and I have to keep reminding myself that even though I don't get cuddles all the time, you know, that's a sacrifice so that he gets this precious time as well.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. You have to work out how to split your time.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess if we dive back into your journey and your story, what were some hidden challenges that you or other working mothers or soon-to-be mothers out there do face in business or just in everyday life?
There's so many, and it's all different. You know, I put myself in my position of what I went through and having to show up and, you know, internalizing the loss and the grief and, you know, or the excitement, you know, when things happened. Mm-hmm. What I feel is so different to what someone next to me would feel or a staff member feeling and, you know, their pregnancy journey. And I suppose that's the most difficult thing is people need to be more aware of what women are internalising and what they're going through every day. So if they're a little bit off or they're not functioning or they're not productive, you know, there's so many reasons behind that, not just presuming that they're not functioning or, I suppose there's so much behind the scenes. And, you know, while you try not to take it to work or you try not to show it in everyday life, there needs to be open and honest discussions that are comfortable for everybody, where someone can just go, I don't have the mental bandwidth today, but I'm showing up and I'm doing my best, but don't have these major expectations of me. But tomorrow I'm going to show up again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. And I think it all comes down to mindset and having that positive mental well-being coming into work every day, understanding, okay, you have to put yourself in other people's shoes and understand that being a mother or just all life outside of work, there's so much happening day to day. And I even had a co-worker, I was speaking to her this morning, and earlier this week she was chased by a male with a knife here around where she lives. And I only got to see her this morning, and there's so many people that come and go every single day, but just knowing that she had to battle that challenge throughout this week is so difficult, but we wouldn't know, and she's putting on such a brave face, but had to experience that this week. And just she told me the story, and she had to jump over into one of her neighbour's fences, and the woman there, elderly woman, she's been approached by this man before, verbally abusing her, and she's been through it, and she took care of, I'm not going to say her name, but she took care of her as well during that situation because she's been through that as well. So just to hear the support of people out there, and the world is not a nice place sometimes with so many different things happening. So you never really know what's happening behind closed doors.
And that's scary, you know, if she goes to the shops and she sees a man and it you know, reminds her she's going to be jumpy.
Absolutely.
So that's going to impact somebody next to her that goes, why are you being jumpy? Or, you know, there's so much in life, and, you know, women, especially when you go through something traumatic, I had a similar situation where a client threatened me and my staff, and we ended up having to get an MRO. And no one should go through that fear of not being able to go to work in the morning because you're so scared he's going to be there, and you're jumpy and you're scared. I feel so much for her. That's horrible. But she's rocking up, and she's pushing through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it's quite difficult because we experience this every day, but do you have any advice of what kind of got you through that path, and for anyone else out there that may be experiencing the same thing? So some advice for your younger self, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm a really big advocate for seeking help. So a lot of people think that they can help themselves and fix themselves and they'll wake up one morning and it's fine. It won't be. You need to talk about it. You need to work through it. You need to work out what works for you, and you can only do that by talking to people and talking to people that can help. Rocking up and being present is also, I don't know how to explain it, but I learned so many life skills from people around me and from having good people around me. That's important, but also seeking help in how to be happy, how to function, what tools I can use to bring, both to personal life and work. If I'm anxious, how do I work through that? How do I do those things? And, teaching myself and working on myself is really, really important. And that's what I would say to my younger self, because I wish I did a lot of this sooner.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, definitely. There's so many resources out there, and I think it does take a lot to go and actually ask for that help, but once you do have it, it is super rewarding, and you're like, where was this my whole life? But
Absolutely.
Yeah, it does take a lot to step out into that, but you've heard it here first. It's so worthwhile doing that. So now, after the trauma, the unfortunate situation you had to go through, how did you build your confidence back up, and how did you show up with turning that negativity into a positive lens every single day?
So you still get worried. I still get on edge if I have a client that starts getting aggressive. And I suppose in business and even for staff, we just put barriers in place, really functional, structured barriers. So the moment somebody, starts to get aggressive or is showing signs, we just put a stop to it straight away. And we have a really good support system in the office of, we're an all-female office, we always have been, but it's that strength that we provide to each other, and it's supporting each other. So, even before something escalates, if someone's not comfortable, they stop that situation there and then. And then we reach out to our clients and say, this is the situation, we're not going to talk to this person again, it has to be in writing, or we're just not talking to them.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because you're managing communities, you're managing people's homes. People obviously have a personal stance, whereas we have a business stance. And we understand that, again, they're going through something, they're having their own personal things. It doesn't mean you can be abusive and rude, but we need to understand that there's reasons behind it, but it's putting that barrier up. For your friend who had, that incident, it doesn't get better. You grow from it and you get stronger, but you're more aware. But it's always going to have flashbacks. It's always going to do that. But I suppose you're stronger from the experience.
Yeah, that's definitely like how we talked about before. You have to experience these things to grow, and it's unfortunate that you do go through these situations, but you come out better on the other side and you're stronger for it, and hopefully you could share light on younger people or younger women that have no idea that this is what could happen and this is how I overcome it. So I think that's super.
And she gets to help somebody.
Yeah,
her story
absolutely.
is going to help somebody else that goes through it and maybe hasn't expressed it, and they've internalized it and they need help with it. She's going to be there to be able to share her story and help them through it.
Yeah, definitely. And just thinking about it in a global lens, like all the women before us as well have overcome these big battles to in turn allow us to have a voice, to show up every day and hold these leadership positions in business. And I think we have to celebrate these little achievements along the way, or big achievements as well. Do you have any really wonderful leadership qualities that you see in women or see in yourself that often are overlooked or undervalued by women today?
Absolutely. So we have an ability to be able to see, I'm going to call it an umbrella. Because we have so many facets to our lives, we get to see that in an everyday situation or in a client situation or, you know, in my mini community situation. So I can see someone's perspective as a mother, as a homemaker, as a worker, as an owner in a building. So I get that ability. I'm not saying men don't get it, but we're able to see so many more facets. Yep. And because we're able to multitask so well, we get to have that all and be able to present it all and then see a situation for what it is instead of just going down the line. Not sure how to explain that entirely. But we're built differently because we're mothers and workers.
Yes.
So we get to see things very differently as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's great to celebrate that as well, and even appreciating the role that men play in supporting women as well, I think is something very special, and life wouldn't be the same without the men and women dynamic as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not all women. It's just we offer something so different, and in business, obviously we all have different skill sets and we all have different abilities, and we just have an extraordinary dynamic that we get to use in every facet, you know, whether it's staff or whether it's business running, it's accounting, it's whatever it is, we get to be able to manage it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to finish off this podcast, do you have any more advice that you could share with people that maybe listening that are going through these challenges or want to show up in a leadership position at work? Any little pieces of advice you picked up along the way that you could share?
So even when you struggle and you want to stay on the couch and you want to be eating junk food and watching TV, in all honesty, as hard as it is, show up. You know, make that appointment, go see that friend for coffee, go do those emails that you need to do, because you're going to get stronger from it. Sitting on the couch, albeit it's comfortable and, you know, you're in your pajamas, you're not strengthening yourself. So absolutely it's needed, but show up, do what you need to do and push yourself through it. But don't internalise it. You can still talk about it. You can still share your experiences and grow from it. But I think showing up's the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And another little helpful tip is I find that even if you do feel like rotting in your pajamas on the couch and watch Netflix, just get up, have a shower, put a fresh face of makeup on, and you do feel like, I own this day. I can make this day whatever I want it to be. So I think just little things like that to get yourself up and get that motivation happening again, or listen to a podcast as well.
Absolutely.
Which is always good. I do love to listen to motivational ones in the morning to get myself up and realise, I can actually accomplish this today if I put my mind to it.
Absolutely. And you can accomplish it all. You know, I started the business before, it was 13 years ago, and you can actually do it all. You can have everything you want, albeit I waited a long time to have a child, but you get up and you do it, and if you want it, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of eye cream, no bags. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So we'll wrap up this episode today. It would be nice, short and sweet for the week. If something you've heard today really resonates with you, we do encourage you to carry it forward and start that conversation and share this episode with a woman who inspires you as well. And reflect on how you can then help balance the scales, whether that is through support, advocacy, or simply just showing up for the women around you. Thank you for joining us on this conversation today, Kristy, and for your personal stories, your advice, and the experiences that you've gone through that shaped you, who you are today, and that will impact women anywhere, at any walks of life. Please do check out Prestige Strata Management if you are interested. And would you like to plug anything?
No, just thank you so much for having me. I love what Happiness Co does. I love International Women's Week. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I do encourage you to listen to the other episodes in this series, or also head to our socials at Happiness Co Foundation to see the events that are currently taking place this International Women's Week. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. That's amazing.